Last summer I started a series covering fun NES games that could be purchased for less than $10 in our modern times. Recruiting other YouTubers, we've covered 50 games so far, and we've got even more for you. Crispy Crisps joins me in presenting 10 more fun NES games for under $10 in 2021. Enjoy! While it's hard to argue that Golgo 13 Top Secret Episode is an aesthetically ugly game, it offers a variety of gameplay and supplies a surprising amount of depth for a 1988 title. You play as Duke Togo, a hired assassin, spy, thank you very much Nintendo, who finds himself caught in a web of mystery and espionage. You travel throughout the world to gather clues and information from a myriad of sketchy characters, covering Berlin, the Athens, and even Antarctica.
Excuse me!
Duke, aka Golgo 13, covers ground on foot, goes scuba diving, flies a helicopter, and plays the role of a mouse caught in an extremely disorienting first-perspective maze. These sections actually kinda suck, so for the love of Odin, use a map. Golgo 13 is an expert sniper and adept with the ladies. While Nintendo tried to censor elements of this game, they missed a few things, like Nazi symbolism, and worst of all, smoking.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
You should see the Japanese version. Golgo 13 Top Secret Episode is an ambitious game, albeit with some archaic quirks, such as the absence of a password feature, but for its price, I say check it out. And if you want more info on this one and its sequel, check out my Golgo 13 review. Link in the description. So yeah, I'm well aware of the bad reputation that Milon's Secret Castle has. It can be cryptic, frustrating, and extremely difficult at times. But that's the NES, right? Once you learn how to play, where to go, and what to do, this game can actually provide quite a good time. The outside of the castle serves as a hub, where you can access a bevy of stages, shops, and bosses. Inside of these stages, you collect money and keys, and destroy creatures by riddling them with bubbles. Yeah, bubbles. The environments are loaded with secrets galore, where shooting certain blocks and empty spaces reveal secret paths and cache. You collect numerous items along the way, each essential in completing Milon's quest. The bosses are all for the most part the same, with their only differences being cosmetic and increased speed and stamina. These guys are pretty tough until you get stronger. This is another one that could have benefited from a password feature, and a map for that matter, but this is NES hard. No shame in using a guide for this one, and I actually recommend it if you're gonna play the game for the very first time in 2021. For the low price that it's going for, I say give it a go.
The Love Boat! The Hate Tank!
SNK's Iron Tank: The Invasion of Normandy seems to fall under the radar when talking about cheap, fun NES games. On the surface, it looks just like an Ikari Warriors clone, only in a tank. But boy, is it a lot more than that. Your armored vehicle moves along the field similar to typical overhead running guns, but with a gun turret that can fire in 8 different directions. You have to adapt to this mechanic, which can take some getting used to. Thankfully, you can collect an assortment of weapons using a submenu to equip each one. You also collect fuel, which acts as your life meter, although simply rolling through Normandy won't deplete it. Iron Tank plays out like one long adventure, omitting any stage-to-stage transitions, which I really dig. You can also branch off into different paths, adding replay value to an already inexpensive game. And this one does offer a password, which is extremely useful if you plan to take out the German stronghold. Iron Tank is pretty challenging, with tough bosses, projectiles endlessly flying to and fro, and an abundance of baddies. This game is so much more than what it seems, and if you want more info, check out my full review on it.
You can't talk about strange NES games without mentioning Fester's Quest. Just think, after Sunsoft acquired the Addams Family license, there was a meeting somewhere in Japan where a bunch of people decided that their best possible idea was a game that lets you play as Uncle Fester, who has to thwart an alien invasion using an array of guns and whips. Yeah, let that sink in for a sec. Still though, the game is pretty fun and forward-thinking, with gameplay similar to Blaster Master's top-down sections. You explore a large town while finding different collectibles and maneuvering through underworld dungeons. There are also some first-person mazes which can let you move to new areas and uncover bosses. Fester can acquire many items throughout the adventure by killing enemies and from meeting up with different members of the Addams family. These items include light bulbs that illuminate dungeons, money to buy health-restoring hot dogs, and invisibility potions which make you briefly invulnerable to enemy damage. The later European version of the game actually improved on the North American one by having better damage balancing and walls not absorbing your gun's bullets, so I'd recommend checking the PAL version out if it's an option. While Fester's Quest isn't a perfect or fair game by any means, it's still a fun yet extremely challenging action-adventure title that shows off the weirder side of what the NES has to offer.
The Adventures of Bayou Billy.
This guy's a fucking idiot! Hey! Now while that may be true, this game can actually be a lot of fun, I guarantee. Yes, Bayou Billy has a reputation of being extremely brutal. By now it's probably common knowledge that the difficulty in Billy's adventure was artificially increased to combat America's budding game rental culture. If you had rented its Japanese counterpart, Mad City, you would have beaten it in one night. More shameless promotion, check out my Bayou Billy vs Mad City video if you want to see the differences between the two. But just be warned, it's one of my very first videos and boy, is it rough. Anyway, yes, Bayou Billy can be frustrating, but once you start getting good at it and learn how to smack your enemies around, it can be quite an enjoyable experience. Our Cajun protagonist also finds himself in shootout stages where you can use either the zapper or controller to turn Gordon's men into Swiss cheese, and even rad racer-like stages. More like bad racer, am I right? Yeah, the driving stages are janky as hell, and I've said in the past, if you can get past those two levels, you'll beat the game. But honestly, I did pretty well while capturing footage for this video. Sure, Bayou Billy has its issues, but damn does it have great graphics, a bumpin' soundtrack, and really cool, at the time, voice samples. For its low price, I say see for yourself if you want to duke it out from the Louisiana swamps to Bourbon Street. One of the earliest and arguably the best wrestling game on the NES, Pro Wrestling is a ton of fun. No licensed grapplers in this one, as Nintendo offers 6 different characters to choose from, each with their own special moves. King Slender has his backbreaker, Starman busts out the somersault kicks, the Amazon plays the archetypal heel, raking his opponent's face with a fork, and Fighter Hayabusa does the Ghetto Blaster. All of the wrestlers are also equipped with basic moves, such as body slams and Irish whips. You can even jump off at the top turnbuckle to smash your opponents, and hell, can even splash from the ring to the concrete floor outside. Once you win the VWA title, you have to successfully defend it for 10 straight matches before taking on Great Puma, an homage to Japan's Tiger Mask. While the 80s were saturated with larger-than-life steroid-built behemoths, Pro Wrestling's cast is made up of thinner grapplers. This guy's my size! This definitely isn't the WWF. I highly recommend this game for any fan of professional wrestling. Check it out. Capcom's Strider on the NES was developed concurrently with the arcade version of the game and is not a port of the aforementioned Quarter Gobbler. It's actually based off of the manga Strider Hero. That being said, the NES version is its own game, and a pretty cool one at that. Strider allows you to choose which area to visit as the adventure progresses, employing a Metroidvania style before that was even a term. Keys are collected to open various doors, allowing you to revisit previously inaccessible areas. Special items are retrieved in a similar manner, and you even get magic to augment your abilities, although I only ever used the jump and health spells. The graphics and music are excellent, and so is the game, except for one thing: the jank. Oh boy, does this game have some janky gameplay, and it's what mars this one more than anything else. Half of the time, Hiru won't jump as high as you'd like, despite holding the jump button. And don't even get me started on the triangle jump. One of the worst mechanics in gaming history if you ask me. This maneuver works pretty much based solely on luck. It can be frustrating. You also don't have an invincibility window after taking damage, so enemies can easily juggle you to death. This is what keeps Strider from being a great game. But it's still fun, and that's what this video is all about. So for its price, I'm gonna have to say give this one a try if you've yet to. I grew up playing Q*bert on the arcade and ColecoVision, so naturally I'm gonna love the NES version, especially since it offers 3 continues. You star as the titular Q*bert, a cutesy orange dude with a strange nose, who hops from cube to cube to change colors made up into a pyramid. Hazards envelop the screen in the form of bouncing marbles, Wrong Way and Ugh, and the purple snake Coily. Once he starts hopping around, your only means of escape is to jump onto one of the rainbow-colored discs to transport you to the top of the pyramid. This also clears the screen of obstacles. You can catch smaller green marbles to freeze enemies on screen, and have to deal with Slick and Sam, annoying green dudes who switch already changed colors to the ones before it. This can get extremely frustrating once you reach higher levels, where you'll need to change colors twice, then boards where the colors switch back and forth every time you land on them, and then later, a combination of the two. It gets tough. But you can't deny just how adorable Q*bert is, cursing each time he meets his demise. Dang nabbit! Mittens! Equine feces! This game is fun and doesn't take long to play at all. Q*bert's a classic. Capcom's codename Viper plays almost identically to Namco's Rolling Thunder, so if you enjoy that game, you'll dig this one. They were both developed by Arc System Works after all. If you want to see just how similar the two are, check out my Rolling Thunder vs. Codename Viper video. You take on the role of Mr. Smith, an agent fighting against a drug cartel in South America. Armed with a handgun and limited ammo, Smith can obtain a machine gun, extra units of health, and a grenade, which is mandatory in order to escape each stage. These items are located behind doors, along with hostages, so searching each and every door is essential. The baddies all fight similar to Rolling Thunder, where based off of their colored uniforms will determine which attacks to expect from them. The graphics are pretty good, with an excellent soundtrack to accompany the action. Viper is definitely challenging, but not unfair. Like many older games, practice and memorization is the key to success. With limited continues, Codename Viper requires you to complete the game within those limitations, but luckily supplies you with a password for when the going gets rough and you need a break. It's a trigger-happy good time. For under $10, Codename Viper is a no-brainer.
A great NES game for less than $10? Let's talk Adventure Island. I mean, Wonder Boy, but still Adventure Island. While the NES has an endless surplus of 2D platformers, Adventure Island comes with a very unique story in its creation and some really fun gameplay to boot. Hudson Soft originally developed the game as a port of the arcade hit Wonder Boy before Sega swooped in and nabbed the license for Wonder Boy's name and characters, forcing the development studio to reskin parts of the game so they could avoid any copyright issues. While Adventure Island is a pretty standard platformer, you can use a variety of items like axes, fireballs, and a skateboard to make your way through its 32 separate stages split into 8 different worlds, exactly like another little platformer known as Super Mario Bros. Every 4 stages, you must fight a different boss, all of which look and act pretty similar, to advance to the next world. If you do pick up Adventure Island, make sure when you play it to grab the B item, based on Hudson's logo and mascot, at the very end of the first stage, which will allow you to continue where you left off after losing all of your lives. To continue, hold right on the control pad after you lose your final life and press the start button. Adventure Island is a fun classic that spawned many sequels and belongs in every NES collector's library.
Alright, there you go. 10 more fun NES games under $10 in 2021. And there are still more out there. So like I do at the end of all of these videos, I'm gonna ask you, the viewers, what are some fun, cheap NES games under $10 today? Let me know in the comments below. Big thanks to Crispy Crisps for contributing to this video, and if you're a big fan of Gradius like I am, check out his channel. You won't regret it. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll catch you later.